This is The Process Shot. I'm Michael, I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater, and I've seen Night on Earth, a 1991 comedy-drama anthology film from director Jim Jarmusch. It's split up into 5 different segments, each taking place simultaneously within the same 20 to 30 minute span of time, each set in 5 different cities around the world, but all following the same basic premise of a cab driver picking up a passenger and taking them to their destination. With this, we get 5 radically different stories of extremely different characters from many walks of life, from a young Los Angeles woman who would rather be a mechanic, to a blind Parisian woman, to an Italian cabbie with a gift of gab. These stories themselves may be different, but they all have something to say in their own way. More specifically, the 5 stories seem to have some common theme going on in how they each seem to put 2 characters with different backgrounds or upbringings against each other, with different results based upon the overall experience. Sometimes the 2 find a sort of understanding, other times one ends up having the upper hand over the other. In each case, there also seems to be some other subtextual comparison going on, in that the primary conflicts of the short stories seem to focus around some greater idea, whether it be a generational or cultural gap between driver and passenger, or deeper notions surrounding victimhood and sympathy. It not only touches on some level of human connection that makes these cab rides more than a quiet half-hour drive, but it makes these rides, well, more eventful than a quiet cab drive. And as such, you get a fuller experience out of these stories, both individually and as a whole. Speaking of which, it's in the technical elements of Night on Earth that the stories come together in a traditional sense. Cinematography is more or less the same across the board, given the focus on the interior of cars and its occupants, with shots that either look into the cabs and their physical differences, or look out at the buildings and roads around them, both of which almost seem to reflect upon the drivers and passengers alike. Editing is where much of the action of the film happens, keeping the characters literally moving along and condensing as much of the drive as possible, while still being able to get in a great amount of story and character, knowing most of all when to just sit back and let the characters or their surroundings take control of a scene. The movie really does come through more as a character study in the end, if not of individuals or their interactions, then the environments they inhabit and what has happened to them that has led up to these mundane but significant drives across town. Night on Earth. Jim Jarmusch, 1991. 4.5 stars. I definitely recommend giving this a watch. That's it for me. If you like this review, leave it a like. If you have something to add, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews in the future. You know, this movie makes driving a cab seem compelling enough to take up as an actual job. I doubt that's the case, though.